top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. On the Zoom call with us today is Sue McLaughlin, administrator for the city of Farmer City. Good morning, Sue. How are you today?
Good morning. Happy hump day. We're getting better. I've been sick, so if I accidentally cough during this, I apologize.
Oh, it's quite okay. Glad you're back to it and can join us here this morning, and we appreciate you making time as always. And, Sue, it feels like about every other visit, you and I got to break down a situation at the pool, and it sounds like today is another one of those. What's happening with the pool? How's it doing this summer?
I tell you what, it's one of the best things this community has, but it's also the bane of my existence sometimes. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people know that we closed last week. We had some issues going on. I just wanted to provide an update. First of all, just to recap real quick, we had a lot of issues where open then closed and open then closed, because we would have pump issues and filter issues, and finally got that tuned in, and then we found out, we had a leak. We're losing about 3/4 of an inch a day, and we think we've located the leak, but I'm waiting for the official report. So that's one delay. And then we found out kids were cutting their feet on something on our pool floor. And, we checked into it. We ended up draining it. That's why there's no water in it right now. And found out that it was like drops of plaster from when they did the repair in March. They
Wow.
didn't catch it all. And I don't mean to disparage them. It is what it is. I think they thought they got it all and they didn't. So they came back and they kind of sandblasted it and whatnot. Was it 2 days ago? And so they say it should be good now. But the next big thing is the leak detection and trying to determine, what are we going to do? Are we going to fix it? Are we going to open and then fix it this fall? So those are some decisions. So I know everybody's kind of waited with bated breath. What are we doing? We have a lot of people asking, just refund my pass, which I understand. Whether we reopen or we close, we will refund passes. It's just, are we going to refund a partial or are we going to refund the full season?
Gosh.
So I'm hoping that we'll know more maybe by the end of today or tomorrow, and then people can, at least know what they're doing the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to update everybody as to what we know as right now.
And gosh, it just feels like that pool can't get any momentum. You feel like you've got some, and then the next roadblock hits. You know what I mean? It just feels like you can't continue some of the momentum that you create as you go through this year.
It's been really difficult, and of course we get a lot of criticism because, like something we're doing, and it's just not, it's the equipment, and I don't know if it's bad equipment. I don't know, if we got a lemon, so to speak. So some of it it was like, oh, well, this is plugged. Well, this needs to be replaced. Well, this probe isn't working. It has to be replaced. So we had to replace a lot of stuff this year. And for only being 3 years old, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And so we're just doing our best. But I think you probably heard, like, Champaign had mechanical issues. I know Lytle Pool and Mattoon had to close for the season. So we're not the only ones, but our community doesn't care that we're not the only ones. They care about us, and we are doing our best. But safety was the number one issue, is why we closed, because we went through like hundreds of Band-Aids with kids cutting their feet, and so that was not acceptable. And so once we got it scheduled and get that taken care of at least.
Yeah, well, and Sue, I mean, I grew up around a pool. My parents had a pool for much of my childhood, and I can attest, man, it feels like just when something goes wrong, it's kind of Murphy's Law. Anything that can and will, anything that can will, and, so it's just kind of one of those things where, you just may have a string of bad luck, and you just can't seem to get it right, and then you'll have, 2 or 3 years where things go well, and it's, humming right along. So it just kind of really is interesting how, the ups and downs of owning a pool. But when it comes to, you mentioned the outcry from the community and those sorts of things, I'm sure you can't, set everyone straight, but how do you go about saying, hey, this is what we're dealing with, this is the issues, we know this isn't ideal, we want people to use this, how about just messaging and how you get that message out there?
Well, at first I was kind of being general because I didn't think people really wanted to know the details per se, just wanted a general idea. But then I found as time went on that it just seemed to be better and more effective to give them specifics. Hey, it's our small chlorine filter. It's, this, it's that. It's, instead of just being, well, we're having, mechanical issues, is actually say, here's what we're doing, here's who we're talking to, here's where we go. And it did seem to help. We've used Facebook for the most part. Just trying to get it. That seems to be where we get reactions from. So it seemed to be the best way to get the word out. The biggest thing is also messaging about costs. This is funded by taxpayer dollars, and we're losing $1,000 a day in terms of what we take in versus the chemicals we were going through and the staff that we pay. And we've been willing to do that. We've lost money on the pool every year. It's just the way it is. It's just something we're willing to do. But that's how I found out about the leak. Was I was like, why are we going through so much chemical? And it turned out that it was because so much fresh water was being introduced, we couldn't keep up. It was constantly running, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And again, it's the messaging of this costs money. Not only are we going through a third more chemical, but the chemical is like almost double in price from the last previous years. So yeah, the messaging is just, I find right now, I don't like to get down in the weeds of too much information, but I'm finding at least with this situation, it helps.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I know you have a pool manager, and that's probably more for things like the staffing and the scheduling and things of that nature. So does you talked about like watching the finances, and we're losing all this money, and we're going through all these chemicals. Does all that fall on you? Would the city benefit from having, and I don't mean to kind of put the cart before the horse, but maybe selling the pool to someone that could come in and utilize it to make money? Not and I'm not trying to be insulting with that question or anything like that, but just how about some of those thought processes there?
There has been discussion about that. To answer the first question, unfortunately, we had to part ways with our pool manager for other reasons, not involved with the mechanical issues. Um, but yes, the financial overview, the overall operation of it, not the day to day, but it does fall to me. And yes, we have had some conversations about, do we keep reopening? What do we do? Do
Mm-hmm.
we sue the companies? Do we fill it in with concrete? Do we, sell it to somebody?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things have been tossed around. And it may come down to, we've talked about doing a survey um, to see where does the community lie? Are they willing to, I don't know, is it going to take a property tax raise, to pay for this? We lost $100,000 last year. I believe Metamora closed their pool because they were losing 50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're losing double that. What is the tipping point of we need to close it or cut our losses? So yes, that has been tossed around at this point.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's where I wanted to go with it. Was it is a taxpayer funded entity, and to be losing money on it, I mean, in a way, you're kind of throwing money away, even though it's a great service and probably a lot of people enjoy that. So when it comes to Sue, just kind of you mentioned making that decision, whether that's today comes tomorrow. What's going through your mind as you contemplate, either reopening the pool at some point after these modifications are made, or just closing it down for the season and just addressing everything from here to the end of the summer and hoping by next spring you've got a functional pool that can last you through the summer? What's going through your mind as you contemplate that decision?
I think the biggest things are really getting community feedback and then also what the council thinks. Me, in terms of, staffing is an issue. Certainly, I can't manage a pool 7 days a week, and so staffing is an issue. And then, yes, like you just said, the cost to fix it is, okay, let's say we fix it. How much is that going to cost? Is it worth it? Um, If the community says, yes, it's worth it, we want this pool, then great, let's do it. But yes, it ultimately is their money. And my job is to kind of give pros and cons to a decision and let them decide. I can make a recommendation. I'm not at that point yet. I don't have enough information of how does the community feel. I probably need to do more financial analysis of, okay, we know we're losing $1,000 a day, but just how much is our chemicals so far this year is over $30,000, and we've only been open like 3 weeks. So yeah, I think we need to have that tough, conversation, whether it'll be in August. I hope I have enough information to have that with the council in terms of the leak and what we need to do to address it. So
Yeah. Now, are you finding it difficult to find people to fix the pool? Do you have a company you call on? What's in terms of availability and how quickly they could get to any issues to fix? What's the status of those things?
well, running it from the pump perspective, there seems to be only one game in town, and we've called around. Every other pool uses the same company. We seem to have kind of gotten that addressed. Um, I don't know yet. I guess it depends on what actually needs to be fixed. We've, used one company when we renovated it a few years ago. It's the same company that did the repair in March. Now, whether that we use that company or we find someone else, I don't know. It could involve some, I don't want to say litigation, but certainly, you know, finding out, was this something that they should have addressed to begin with? Was it something they did? Is it, unrelated? So those are a lot of questions that I can't answer today. I probably won't be able to answer them in a month from now. It's going to take some time, and that's the frustrating part. So that's kind of leaning in towards we close for the season. I know these companies are more available during the summer because everybody wants to do their work in spring and fall, so they can be open in the summer. So maybe our opportunity is now. So these are the things that are being tossed around in the decision for the season.
Goodness, a lot to consider, no doubt about it. Well, Sue, I'll tell you what. Where do folks go to keep up with that decision and where you land on it here in the next day or two? What's the best way for folks to learn about what you're going to decide?
Yeah, I think the best place is the City of Farmer City's Facebook page. I don't know that we'll even put anything on our website, but that is cityoffarmercity.org. But probably the Facebook page is the best place, or call City Hall.
Easy enough. Very good. Well, Sue, good discussion. Let's take a break here. Come back with some more. Sue McLaughlin is the city manager or city administrator for the City of Farmer City. Our guest on the phone. More to come with Sue on the morning show.
WHOW. Illinois farmers know a thing or two about a home field advantage. But when it comes to your farm, it's Pioneer that gives you a consistent home yield advantage. In more than 2,000 statewide comparisons against all seed brands, Pioneer came out on top. From Rockford to Carbondale, Pioneer scored an average 7.8 bushel corn yield advantage. For tips to boost your home yield advantage, visit pioneer.com/Illinois.
This is Noah Atkinson, owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln. Small business is the lifeblood of our communities. That's why I'm proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
DeWitt Savings Bank is a Clinton-based FDIC-insured mutual savings bank, providing high-quality customer service for their depositors and loan customers with local people making local decisions. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at whow@randyradio.com.
Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs congratulates this local business for their contribution to our community. And for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banners, vinyl wraps, and more, find us at lincolnprintersinc.com.
Find out how you and your family can save up to 40% on the meat, produce, and grocery items you use every day by clicking the Clinton Save-A-Lot icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Peterson Insurance Services in Clinton is a 2014 Pekin Insurance Illinois Agency of the Year. Jay Peterson here from Peterson Insurance. Find out about Pekin's auto, home, or life insurance by clicking on our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. On the Zoom call with us today is Sue McLaughlin, city manager for the city of Farmer City. Sue, as we talk for today, I know you've got plenty of other capital things going on. Some repaving work. Where and what is going on here?
Yeah, every year we try to do a little street paving, but this one's a little different only in terms of we're going to be affecting some businesses. So I wanted to get the word out. We did send a letter, but one of the areas we're repaving is Ogle Drive, which is over behind Casey's. And we have some businesses over there. We have Napa, Cabinet Land, we have the paramedic service. And so, we did send a letter. We don't intend to close the street unless it's for an hour or so, but they'll let those businesses know at that time. But that's coming up, and then we're also going to be redoing the intersection of Depot Road and John Street, which serves a lot of our agribusinesses. We have Next Gen over there, Heartland Ag, Maxwell Counters. So we did send a letter, but we're going to be repaving that area because we keep having to refill potholes that just come right back out again. And we're like, you know what, we're not reconstructing the intersection or anything, but certainly repaving it so we don't have to keep filling potholes. But again, our plan is not to close the road. It's going to be go down to one lane. If we do have to close it, we'll reach out to those businesses. And then there'll be a few streets, residential streets in town. I want to put out, everybody's like, why are you doing that street? This street needs it more. To make sure to remind people that some of these streets we choose because they don't have water or sewer underneath them. Because if we repaved a street that did and it needed new water main, for example, then you're going to have to tear it right back out again. And so these are streets that were specifically chosen because they need a little help, but they don't need full reconstruction, all new utilities underneath them. And so that's why we pick it that way. And then we do try to address, like Market Street, we're going to do a couple blocks. We just replaced the water main there. So now we can repave it. So that one will be redone. That was a $200,000 project. And so new water main, some of our oldest water main in town, it was 100 years old or almost.
Wow.
So we did 2 blocks of that, and now we're going to repave that. So some good stuff going on.
Yeah, well, and one thing I've just kind of come to find, Sue, and I'm sure you've seen this 100 times over in your experience, but you address one street and you're going to make everybody else on the other side of town mad because they think their street is in worse shape, and you're just not going to please everybody with projects like this, and you just got to plug along and do what you can when you can, if that makes sense.
That's right. We try to stretch our tax dollars as best we can. We're aware of bad streets, and some of them are just going to have to be addressed as we can. I know a lot of people, for example, have been complaining about Washington Street. Yeah, it's bad. It's like a roller coaster ride, bumper cars. But it needs all new water main underneath, so we got to do that first.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing what we can.
Well, and so Sue, when you talk about repaving, is it like tear the current kind of surface up and then blacktop asphalt it, or what's the process, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, in a couple places it's going to be grinding down and repaving the whole thing, like Ogle Drive, that serves some of those businesses. But some of the residential streets, what we're trying to do is stretch our dollar further. We're doing 4 feet on either side. You've probably seen that in other towns where they have a new paved strip along one edge or 2 edges of the street, not the whole street, because that's really what usually falls apart, are your edges. You get the cracking and the alligatoring is what we call it, where it starts to fail and it holds water and all that good stuff. So we pave the edges and then we get more done that way. So yeah, it's kind of a combination.
Well, Sue, any other projects going on? I know that in visits past, we've talked about a dog park potentially in Farmer City. What's that status?
Yeah, that's actually on the edge. Supposed to be getting a fence this week. To be honest, I've been out ill. I haven't gone out and seen. They were going to come this week, and then we might be able to open, if not next week, the week after. We got the water hooked up. They got to do the drinking fountain, and once the fence is up, we're going to be good to go. We are going to post some rules that were adopted by the council this year, but I got to order the sign, which is taking some time. But I don't know, maybe we'll put up a handmade sign in the meantime, but yeah, we are on the cusp. We should have it open the next week or two.
Yeah. What do you have to do in terms of just having that space ready? I mean, is there like fencing
Oh my gosh,
requirements?
actually, that's why we're so delayed, is it ended up being a much bigger project than we thought.
Yeah.
We had to extend the water line, and we thought it was coming in one way, and it turned out to be coming in the other way, and they had to dig a bigger trench, and so that was quite a deal to get the drinking fountain going, and then we had to pour a concrete pad, and then the weather had to cooperate, so it's been a struggle for sure.
It's always something if it's not another, right? So, yeah.
Right.
Very
right.
good, Sue. Well, what's the best way for folks to just kind of keep up with all the things you'll be putting out there over the summer, whether it's the pool, some of the projects? Where do folks keep up with all those things?
Yeah, you can find most of our info on the City of Farmer City's Facebook page or our website, cityoffarmercity.org.
That is Sue McLaughlin. She is the city manager for the city of Farmer City, our guest on the Zoom call on the WHOW Morning Show. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news comes your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.